Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. New developments in the attack on Sebastopol with those drones that Russia claims it's the UK secret services who helped the Ukrainians use those drones to use the safe grain corridor and then veer towards the Sebastopol harbor, attacking the Russian fleet over there, Black Sea fleet. They claim there were 16 drones and none of them caused any damage to anything. Well, some other reports says that some Russian vessels were hurt, were injured, were damaged, and the Russians said, well, it was the Brits. And they said we will provide the evidence, and they did. Well, how did they do it? They summoned the British ambassador to Moscow and provided the information, the evidence. They also said, the Russians also said that they have evidence that it was the British involvement in the Nord Stream pipelines 1 and 2, those explosions. And they said, the Russians said, we will provide evidence to support our claims that it was the British Navy. Well, they came up today with one piece of evidence, and that is the Russians, obviously. And see what they did. This article comes from Sputnik. It's from today, which is the 3rd of November 2022. Moscow has info on UK's transfer of unmanned underwater drones to Kiev ahead of Sebastopol attack. There were, I don't know, about 9 drones. There were air drones and some were underwater drones. So the Russians said, well, according to our investigation, it was you. Well, see if this is the only evidence these guys have. The Russian Foreign Ministry summoned Britain's ambassador in Moscow on Thursday in connection with the last week's Ukrainian attack targeting Russian military and civilian vessels in Sevastopol. The act of terrorism prompted Moscow to temporarily freeze its participation in the Black Sea grain export deal with Kiev. The Russian Foreign Ministry summoned British ambassador, and it says here that let's see, the ambassador's name is Deborah Bronert, in a connection with London's suspected involvement in that October 29 attack on the Russian Black Sea fleet in Sebastopol. In a statement, by the way, the Russians said, once we will provide the British ambassador with the evidence, we will also provide the public with the same evidence. They said through the mass media and other means, through their defense ministry website, so the whole world may see the evidence. In a statement put out by the ministry on Thursday, the ministry indicated that it had information that London transferred a number of unmanned underwater drones to Kiev, and that British specialists have been actively involved in the training and supply of Ukrainian special operations forces, including those involved in sabotage operations at sea. Moscow warned that Britain's actions threaten to escalate the security crisis and lead to, and I'm quoting, unpredictable and dangerous consequences, end quote, and that such, I'm quoting, hostile provocations, end quote, on London's part were inadmissible and must be stopped immediately. I can imagine what the Brits are doing right now with their right hand. Up and down movement. All right, or back and forth, however you want to see it. So I'm quoting, if such acts of aggression fraught with the UK's direct involvement in the conflict continue, the entire responsibility for their disastrous consequences and the growth of tensions in relations between our states will lie entirely on the British side, the Foreign Ministry said. So they said that the entire responsibility for their disastrous consequences and the growth of tensions in relations between our states will lie entirely on the British side. The thing is, again, I'm going to discuss an observation. Maybe it's exaggerated, maybe it's nothing there, but that's the way I see things. I think Russia tries to do things still from a fair and as much as it can, fair and PR angle, the whole thing here. They said that, oh, if something happens, it's because of you. Why do you care? Why do you care to even say it's because of you? Why don't you say it's because of me, because I said so? Because that's the mentality of the other guys. And the other guys have a mentality of master mentality, not slave mentality. I refer you to Friedrich Nietzsche's morality, master morality and slave morality or servant morality. Very interesting and very enlightening philosophical piece. Now, you see, the other ones are not very concerned about, hey, is our fault or your fault. They do this, you know, when they need to, but their actions show that, so, yeah, so we did it so. Because look at, for instance, past examples with invasions of other countries, sovereign countries, based on lies and all that, or illegal attack or bombardment of Yugoslavia in 1999. They didn't care. They just built up a pretext and they bombarded, and we might know it was all, you know, like for instance in Iraq's case, it was based on, you know, what kind of information from the intelligence community. So that would, every time some information comes from the intelligence community of Great Britain or United States, and by default Israel, you should know that that's, just remember Iraq war, and that's all you need to do. It's not a minor thing. It's a very big thing, because a country, a nation was destroyed. Take it however you want. Is it better than before? I would say no, but hey, what do I know? So again, these guys, is anybody talking about Iraq war and getting the perpetrators and the war criminals from, I don't know, Yugoslavia, the ones who bombarded illegally Yugoslavia, the defensive alliance, NATO? Nobody. And they don't say it. They keep saying, yeah, it was necessary. So what are you going to do about it? So everything is about what are you going to do about it. So the Russians here, oh, if something happens, just so you know, it's your fault. Why don't you say, if something happens, just so you know, it's my fault and I don't care? What are you going to do about it? We'll sort things later. It was a little, I can't remember where I read this piece. It was about the conquistadors in South America. The Spanish army came, you know, with their priests and all that. They tried to convert the people they found here in South America, and it was a guy over there, I can't remember, a warrior, a chief, a Spanish guy, and they were slaughtering the people in South America. I don't want to call them natives, but the people in South America, you know. And then this guy came to the priest and say, but Father, what happens here if we're going to slaughter these guys? How do we know who's an infidel and who's a, you know, maybe someone converted, or is a sinner is not a sinner? I think that's what it was. A sinner is not a sinner. And the father, the priest, answered, don't worry, my son. God will sort them out when they get there. So the same here. Well, yeah, I'm doing it, so what are you going to do? This is going to be sorted out after the whole thing passes, or after years. As of now, I'm just going to take care of you. I don't care who's right and who's wrong. Later, we're going to sort things out. The same here. The Russians seem to provide evidence and provide this and provide that, and hey, we're on the, no, it's their fault. The other side is not really concerned with its actions, because the mass media covers and the weasels you know, come and say this and point fingers, and they try to be on the right side of the whatever, but their actions show something else, and they're always on the side of the good. Anyway, It's not enough information. I want more information regarding this. If the Brits train the special services of Ukraine, so what? They've been doing this. You didn't do anything. Russia, so zip it. Useless to talk. If the Ukrainians have British trainers and experts and whatever on their territory, I think that's a known fact. You didn't do anything about it from the very beginning, so zip it. If the Ukrainians bought from Great Britain those drones, so what? You didn't do anything about it anyway, so zip it. The problem is when you buy it from someone else, there's a big problem. So why would you care? Say, yeah, we buy it, so what are you going to do about it? Nothing. You see, we get the same thing. If you have this, you don't need to justify anything. Smack, 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 and I figure out later. Unfortunately, that's the way the world is ran. We just pretense that we're civilized with the rule of law and all that. Anyway, I need more information than the one provided by the Russians. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.